Hello everyone, bringing you a video today which is sort of in place of an unboxing video, and this is to look at some various bits and pieces of Irish kit which have arrived recently to serve as a sort of introduction to things which will be covered on the channel in more detail going forward, all being well. As I say, not everything arrived together, so it didn't form an unboxing video as it were, but I thought it would be nice to have a look at some of these bits and pieces in, as an introduction, and they'll be covered in more detail in a future video at some point. But without further ado, we'll have a look at what's arrived recently. Okay, so we have a little pile of stuff to look at here, and the first thing we have is a magazine pouch for the Carl Gustaf, or the M45 or Swedish K, it's various different names. Submachine gun, a Swedish submachine gun that was used by Irish forces, and these pouches are quite ubiquitous. There are three different versions of this. You have one which has a little pocket for I think cleaning kit on one side, and then there's a third type which has a pocket and then an additional one for an oil bottle, I believe, of this particular design. There are other pouch designs as well, but this is the one used by the Irish Army. Didn't have the pouches on the outside. I managed to find one of these. It's missing the piece that should go on the shoulder strap roughly here to provide a broader bearing piece over the shoulder. That's a separate piece of leather. Now, chap that some people may know as Graham the Leather Guy over on Instagram. He makes all sorts of reproduction leather kit, absolutely fantastic quality. As very kindly, he's sending me over some Canadian kit, and he's included in there a properly shaped piece made from scrap leather he had. So he's very kindly made me one of those made me an example to replace what should be on here, as the original is missing. But that's going to be useful going forward in doing some future videos looking at Irish kit on the mannequin. They were very commonly carried from the 1960s right the way through into the 1980s, when obviously the late 1980s, up to the point where the Irish Army switched over from using the FAL essentially as a battle rifle alongside a submachine gun to using the Steyr AUG. So quite a useful bit of kit. It covers a lot of ground. So that's one of the things that's arrived, which is quite a useful thing to have. The other thing, I've had this for a little while. Took the epaulets underneath the collar there, as it should be. This is an FCA Tunic Jacket, and up to this point I didn't have the collar badges for it. I think I had one. I was missing one of the collar badges. So recently my friend John Shanahan sent me a batch of stuff from Ireland, and included with that was a pair of collar badges, which are quite a yellowy goldy tone, but I fitted those anyway. They're quite an old gold colour almost, as opposed to the very white gold finish of the anodized buttons. But it's nice to complete the uniform with its insignia there. So we have that with its with its sort of maroon, dark red epaulets. Quite a distinctive look for the FCA uniform there. Put that off to one side. There's some other uniforms hidden underneath. We have two recent arrivals, one of which is, well, this is, I would refer to them as a blouse. I'm not actually sure what the official term was in Irish service, but this is one of the patterns of blouse used by the FCA. They wore almost a battle dress style uniform with a short-waisted blouse, as you can see, a high-waisted blouse. As you can see here, it does have a waist belt which buttons in place, similar to battle dress, obviously just replacing the buckle with a button there. So it's a very similar design to battle dress, and it derived from that uniform that was introduced by the volunteers during what Ireland would refer to as the emergency, but during the Second World War. This is an open collar example, as you can see. And I'd always understood, or seen in photographs, it seems these were primarily worn by officers, but this does have a 2-star private's badge. I don't know if that's been added by somebody. And then we have the Eastern Brigade, what would have been the Eastern Brigade badge at that time, the felt with the red spear point on it, which is something we've covered in previous videos looking at Irish insignia. And then we have the Geneva Cross down on the cuff here, which matches up, I believe. These would be medical collar badges, so someone could advise on that perhaps. I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not au fait with Irish collar badges, although I do know where to look them up, so I will do that. But rather nice with the old brass IV Irish Volunteers buttons, as opposed to the anodized on the previous jacket we looked at. So that's a nice addition to the collection. Interesting to see, as I say, if this is correct, of a 2-star private having the open collar pattern of jacket there. And as I say, these will be looked at in more detail on the mannequin going forward as well, of course. So this is just a quick look at them laid out down on the floor. And this is another example of the sort of battle dress type jacket. You can again see waist belt on the high waist here, making it a blouse, and then you have the two buttons here for adjusting in the waistband rather than a buckle. And it's very similar to the other one we've just looked at, but it has a closed collar which closes with a button tab, as you can see there. So it's designed to button up all the way and close up to a closed collar like that. Very much very much akin to British battle dress. It's very similar to what we would consider our utility battle dress in terms of the layout, the pockets and so forth. Again, it has the Eastern Brigade badge. I think this actually has a date in the waistband because these were worn for a very long time. I know the other one does. Oh no, here we go. 1973. You can see the manufacturer there. I believe that the size 3. So quite a nice thing to have. They were worn right the way through into I think even the early 80s when the later FCA uniform replaced them and the FCA began to procure their own combat uniform and so forth. But certainly worn in the 1970s. There's a lot of footage around of the FCA wearing these in the 1970s. Quite an interesting uniform, quite a long service history from that point of view. And as I say, it's similar to battle dress, so it's quite interesting to me from that point of view as well. But a very simple garment, as you can see. There's not a lot to it really. No lining or anything apart from the waistband there. So there it is. That's an update on some of the Irish kit which has arrived. As I say, this will be covered in more detail going forward in future videos. So there we are. That serves as a sort of introduction to these newly arrived bits and pieces. These will be covered in more detail going forward, of course, and form parts of other videos looking at soldiers' kit and so forth on the mannequin. If you'd like to see those, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, little notification button down below. That will, of course, alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as ever, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. I really appreciate it. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. That's everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.